Kia ora koutou. Thank you for joining us today at the Repair Festival Aotearoa webinar, which is being brought to you by the Repair Network Aotearoa. I'm Fiona Levin, the Sector Program Manager here at Wasteman's, and I'm going to start us off today by grounding us with a karakia. Tu taua mai I runga, tu taua mai I raro, tu taua mai I roto, tu taua mai I waho. Kia tau au te Māori tu, te Māori rora, ki te katoa. Haumi e, hui e, taihi e. Firstly, housekeeping. Just to remind everyone that our session today will be recorded and the recording will be shared afterwards with everyone who is registered. You'll be able to use the Q&A section to ask any questions that you have for the end of the webinar. Firstly, though, I'm going to pass over to Brigitte today, who will be facilitating the webinar. Thanks very much, Brigitte, and I hope everyone enjoys.
Kia ora, Fiona. Really appreciate the introductions. It's wonderful. And yeah, welcome to another Right to Repair webinar, which we are holding during Repair Festival Aotearoa, which is very exciting. And we have got a beautiful lineup of speakers that share with you their thoughts on right to repair legislation in Aotearoa. Could I please have the first slide, Fiona? Lovely. So I just want to offer a little bit of context. Right to Repair is part of a movement here in Aotearoa, which is led by the Right to Repair or by the Repair Network Aotearoa. And we started about 4.5 years ago. And we have 5 pillars. We are looking at repair community, which is based on repair cafes, then also repair education, repair economy, driven by businesses, as well as civic stewardship, where councils get involved, and also, of course, the advocacy of right to repair, looking at central government. So the idea is to induce and introduce behavior change and a cultural change, to create and generate and grow a repair economy, which hopefully needs to structure or change a circular economy in the repair movement and transforming communities through the stewardship repair. Next slide, please. So we started in a 2-pronged approach with community as well as legislation. And so we began late 2020, all during COVID, as you may recall. And now we have over 80 repair cafes all across the country, and the community.
Brigitte, you've frozen again. If you wouldn't mind turning your camera off. Apologies, I'm just going to get Brigitte back online. All right, we seem to have lost Brigitte. So what we might do in the moment is just go on to our next speaker. Brigitte was going to do all the introductions, so you'll just have to bear with me for a second. So I'd just like to introduce the Honourable Marama Davidson, who's just going to give a bit of an overview. For those of you who don't know, the Right to Repair bill that has been before Parliament was introduced from the Green Party members' bill. So I'll pass over to Marama now. Thanks, Marama.
Kia ora, Gemma. Thank you so much. Kia ora koutou. It's a beautiful day to talk about repair. Okay, so what we love about the Right to Repair bill, which I want to acknowledge has come from the repair community, and especially the work of Repair Cafe and organisations, all sort of contributing to this years and years long conversation. So I was very honoured to be able to put this bill into the ballot because it ticks all the boxes for us. It talks about, it ensures that we are doing something for climate change as well as the biodiversity crisis, and also the cost of living, which are always connected to a wasteful economy. So it's part of the vision of transitioning to a zero waste economy. And I just really want to acknowledge everyone for arriving to this place. So if we go to the next slide, thank you. So this is, select committee process. Sorry, it is actually slide 2, the right to repair bills. I think we have to go back one. Oh, there we go. Thank you. So this that's a lot of words, but basically it's a bit of a timeline of the bill, where of course you had, as I mentioned, the background work from the petition, and the actual bill was developed by Ricardo Menendez March. Interestingly, it was actually picked up and lodged by Efeso, our late colleague, our much beloved colleague. When Efeso passed in 2023, I was really happy to pick it up from Efeso. It was pulled out, biscuit tin, April, first reading passed, yay, with the support of, it was New Zealand First. And then the select committee, it went through the select committee process. You can see there the main focus of the bill was removing the loophole that currently allows suppliers to opt out of existing repair obligations, and then that requirement on manufacturers. So trying to take the obligation back to the manufacturing part of the equation at the start to be able to provide, to encourage and enable providing that information, parts, software and tools necessary to diagnose and repair goods. And the requirement on also suppliers to repair goods instead of just automatically going to replacing them on consumer request. And look, I think just worth mentioning here, this was also very much about our proud Kiwi culture and tradition of we like to get into things and have a go and fix things. That's part of who we are. My own sister is testament in our family. She's that person. The video machine, look, I'm showing my age. The video machine, the electronic equipment, it was always just get Eddie over to have a look. So we're proud of that, part of who we are as well. So yes, it's about climate change, reducing waste, protecting our biodiversity, reducing costs, but it's also about who we are and identity. So if we go to the slide 3, should be select committee process. Right, let me dive into this a little. Fantastic, amazing submissions, right? Written and oral, 95 submissions in support of the bill, and less than, I will add, less than 2% of submissions in direct opposition. So that's another important issue to note. This has incredible public mandate. What I want to be clear about here is we went through detailed scrutiny, clause by clause by clause over those months and weeks. We talked about, okay, shall we do something about the scope, even to start off with? Shall we do something about the scope of the bill and get something over the line? What actually is a part? How do we prevent manufacturers from just saying, oh, a part is a whole half a dishwasher? You know, can we pull the conversation and the accountability back down to the most practicable, smallest part? We talked about, what do we do about another part of us, which is how we love op shops and hoka shops, as many of us know them as. I want to be clear that at committee, across all of the members, including all of the government members, we went through clause by clause and got agreement or consensus, if not just flat wide agreement, and in the odd occasion, the odd clause that went to a vote. We got amendments by agreement over the line, clause by clause, for all of these sorts of things. And it was also in response to submissions, to the expertise that came through, including the people very much pushing this, wanting to push this bill through, and the organisations like yourselves, Repair Cafes and Consumer New Zealand, for example, who gave us options for narrowing the scope of the products. So good work. I was in the select committee going, oh yeah, look, I can see that lobbying has been working because members of parliament are trying to constructively get something over the line. However, when it got to the final stage, after we had pretty much a whole tracked new bill, the government members rejected all of the proposed amendments. So we'll go to the next slide, please, which should be where we are now. Okay, we think the bill will come up next Wednesday. Next Wednesday is the sitting day. All of our amendments are published online. So basically, we took all of those amendments that the committee originally agreed to, and we've turned them into amendments that everyone can see online. We have requested, and I believe there is agreement, that we're going to meet particularly with New Zealand First, who could be a deciding factor to really try and encourage and work with them to get this bill over the line. There is a strong mandate, as I talked about before, already. So this is what I want to be really clear about. No matter what happens, this work that has happened on the bill is not in vain. So we've done a lot of work already with using good use of parliamentary advice, departments and resource to come up with a strongly mandated version of the bill. And that's why the community lobbying is super important. Might I have one more, or is that? Okay, so that's me. Those are my slides. I've already taken up too much time, and I am going to allow us to go to the next person. Thank you very much.
Great, thanks so much, Marama. I can see that Brigitte is back online. Brigitte, did you want to go back and we'll cover your slides? If you wanted to try and unmute yourself. Oh, we've lost her again. Okay, we'll move on to Alex.
Kia ora koutou. So I'm Alex Sims. I'm at the Business School, Department of Commercial Law. If you can go to the next slide. And well, I'm an academic and I've been working on various things, including right to repair. And I've been a member of the Right to Repair Aotearoa Coalition since 2022, the end of that year. And my background, and why I've been doing this, is I've got a background in consumer law and intellectual property law. So both of these come together, because quite often academics have been coming from one of those angles. So I get a broader mix. And I've been interested in right to repair for many years. And in fact, just very quickly, the way it sort of started off was that I was asked if I could write on right to repair for a sort of an opinion piece for somewhere. And I thought, yep, I'll write it. And that's also snowballed from there. Whereas most academics do their work and then write their opinion pieces. This was the other way around. So I've written lots of different stuff, book chapters, articles, all that type of stuff. And I'm currently working on an article about planned obsolescence, but technically it's wider than planned obsolescence. It's product obsolescence, because I can talk to people later about it. There is a difference between that, and that's really me. I'm more interested here, like what Tom has to say, than anything else. But yeah.
Thanks so much, Alex. I think you undersold yourself a little bit there, but thanks so much. Brigitte, I see that you're back online. Did you want to try and unmute yourself again?
Yes, I can. My sincere apologies. Unfortunately, our internet is out in our whole street. So I'm in a little cube in the public library and the internet is not working that well for me. So yeah, I'll just quickly pop in. Thank you so much for taking over, Fiona, and everyone to contributing. Sure. Next slide, please. If we try again. I can see the repair cafes as another one. Yes. Okay. So this is the Right to Repair Coalition, which Alex and Paul are a member of, and we've been working since 2021 together to write our first ever right to repair petition here in Aotearoa, which went through the processes, also the select committee and so forth. And then we were fortunate enough to be approached by the Green Party, which Honourable Marama Davidson already shared with you. And yeah, and we keep on going, never mind, you know, what government decides. And we also need to keep in mind that actually this is an international movement and people have been working for this, you know, for decades, and we are just at the beginning. So a little setback is actually not that bad, because we have raised awareness. We know that 95% of people do want legislation, and this is what we continue to work on. Next slide. Is there another slide? Okay, yeah. As I said, everything comes together in the Repair Festival, which demonstrates, you know, that people are really living and breathing, repairing, and mending. And so we've got events by local councils and community coming together, also business workshops, business tours, webinars like this, right repair legislation discussion. So all the 5 PO that I showed you in the first slide, they're actually coming together in action during the Repair Festival, which runs this week. So I think that's my little contribution. And yes, thank you so much, Fiona, for the opportunity. We got Paul next, do we?
Yes.
Kia ora, Paul.
Yes. Thank you, Brigitte. Kia ora koutou. So I've got 3 slides, including this one, so I'll keep this brief. So I'm Paul. I'm a design engineer by trade, and I do some. My interest is in product durability and repair, and really why products that should be durable are not as durable as they should be, and how we got here and how we can change that. So I work through Fixed First, which you're looking at, and I do some consultancy, work with businesses and organisations to try and campaign and promote repair and to give them practical solutions for how they can actually implement more repairability in their products. And I've been part of the Right to Repair Aotearoa Coalition, I think, since it started. Brigitte will correct me if I'm wrong there, and if I'm exaggerating. And I contribute research, investigations, and general campaigning for right to repair legislation. So next slide, please. So my interest in this, and I was triggered recently from some of the comments made in response to the bill coming from some of the government members that said, well, the problem with this bill is it's not going to fix product obsolescence. And that triggered me, because of course it's not, because product obsolescence is something that's been progressing for over a century to get us where we are. And it's great that Alex is writing about this as well, because I think the more we understand where we've come from with this, the more we can do to try and fix it. So we can trace it back, and you can split it into 2 things: physical obsolescence and psychological obsolescence. So physically, you can trace it back to light bulbs, and way back to a cartel of light bulb manufacturers that actually planned and implemented processes that reduced the length of time that light bulbs last. They physically reduced the durability of the light bulbs so they could sell more of them. And if you fast forward now, you see examples of that and how that's progressed. Product obsolescence has got far more complicated and far more involved than simply making products burn out quicker. So now we see things like rechargeable batteries that are soldered or glued into place, and those batteries will wear out, and they're consumables. So there's no excuse for not making them replaceable and repairable. So when those batteries wear out, then the whole product's dead if you can't replace the battery. So there are subtle ways that companies can make products less durable physically. From the psychological side, which is probably the more insidious one, it goes back again for about a century, but it really took off in the 50s. And that was an idea that was coined by this guy, Brooks Stevens, which has the great quote that says, it's the desire to own something a little newer, a little better, and a little sooner than is necessary. And that was the start of seeing things like styling changes, new models being released every year, where the new model is no better than the previous model. It just looks a bit different, or it has a few different features. And the idea backing that up with some really intense marketing is to say the thing you own is old. It's no good anymore. You need the new thing. And so it encourages us and the market not to keep the things that we've already got. And so when those things fail, when they get faulty, we don't repair them because there's something newer and better that we need instead, when actually repairing the thing we've got is potentially the best path. So this has been going on for about a century, and could talk forever about it. But the overview is that by putting into place some repair legislation, it's a way to start to change this. But one repair bill is not going to fix this entire system. We need more than that. So flick it on to the next slide, please, Fiona. And for me, the point of legislation and repair legislation is that it's got to shift expectations away from this. And it's got to shift expectations, and this is for consumers, for businesses, that products can and should be durable and repairable. And we've been moving away from that gradually for decades. And we need legislation is the tool that can help us shift back to it. And when I say legislation here, I don't mean necessarily that we need full national legislation. This could be implemented locally. It could be implemented voluntarily, and we're starting to see that in some businesses and that start to happen. But it needs to be more than just a right to repair bill. The right to repair bill that we've got is pretty typical of what happens in that it's the first step. It's setting a minimum requirement. It's saying, here's a really low bar that all manufacturers have to do. So if you're selling products in our market, you have to do the basics of supporting repair. You don't have to do any more than that, but you've got to at least do that. And that's a great start, but it's not a fix. What we need to do then is start to tackle the market and start to look at how can we shift repair from being this legislative thing that you have to do to something that you want to do. Let's make repair desirable. And that might be something like repairability labels and say, okay, so let's put something in there like a repairability label that tells consumers which products are more repairable. And so that encourages us as consumers to choose more repairable products. And that encourages businesses and the manufacturers to start to compete on repairability. So now it becomes an advantage to them to make their products more repairable. And because we're trying to fix something that's been going on for about a century, we need some form of legislation that's going to stimulate the repair economy. There's no point having products that are technically repairable if we haven't got the expertise to actually repair them. And that's where something like extended producer responsibility comes in, where manufacturers who are not making their products as repairable as they could be pay a fee. And that fee goes to stimulate the repair economy and essentially encourage the activities that keep those products out of waste. So I think we're on the track to get here, but we're right at the start of this at the moment. And it's a great journey to be on, because before this bill went through Parliament, we weren't even on this journey legislatively. I'm going to call that a word. So yeah, so it's a great place to be, and it's a really exciting time. And with the massive public support, I think we've really got a chance to move things along. And that's me.
All right, that's me. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for the opportunity to share what we're doing in this space. I'm Andy. I co-founded Needapart way back in 2009 with my friend Jared Tasker, and we had a mission to make spare parts accessible to Kiwis. And while we were the first to do this in New Zealand, we were very much basing our business model on similar overseas websites at the time. And I think that's a theme here, that we're not exactly treading new ground. There's a lot of this going on overseas and has been for a long time. Next one, please. So what do? We enable self-repair, and we see this as a complementary service to repair agents. There's a lot of admin overhead in matching people up with the correct part. As you can imagine, there's tens of thousands of appliance parts out there. We can only hold so many of them in stock. So this process often looks like consulting a parts diagram, confirming with the customer that we're talking about the same thing, finding out if it's available from the manufacturer. Has it been made obsolete? Has it been replaced by another part? How long will it take to arrive in New Zealand? We have to order it in, etc. So for many repair agents, this is not a good use of their time when they could be fixing things. So we've built dedicated software systems and processes to make identifying and sourcing parts as simple as possible, but still very much a complementary service. We only help people who know what's wrong with their appliance. So, if the washing machine door seal has perished, needs to be replaced, we can help with that. But if customers call us up and they actually don't know what's wrong with their appliance, or it's getting a bit too technical, absolutely, that's where repair agents come in. So next one, please. And again, please. So there's 3 tiers to our relationships with manufacturers. So the first one, which we only work with one, manufacturer in this way is they hand off all operations to us. That means we provide parts to the repair agents on their behalf, as well as selling direct to consumer. And the next one is where we handle B2C, business to consumer operations. So we're not exclusive. Repair agents can still get their parts directly from LG or Sony. Some of our competitors can still get parts, but if you call up LG or you go on Sony's website, you'll be directed to us. And this usually happens in cases where the manufacturer just isn't well set up for business to consumer operations. So we're effectively facilitating that gap on their behalf. And just wanted to call out with Sony as well, we're doing some work for them, which they specifically call self-repair. They're proactively publishing materials online. So if one of your headphone earbuds falls out on a crowded bus and you can't get it back, speaking from experience here, they proactively publish materials on how to repair, how to buy a new one and repair that with your other headphone. And the key point here is that they are doing this in other markets already. Most of our instruction from Sony is, here's what we're doing in this other territory, can we just replicate that here? And so the third tier of relationship is one of mutual benefit, where effectively we don't have a real relationship with these brands. They don't refer us in any way, they just let us sell their parts. And some of these brands sell parts direct to consumer themselves, but perhaps recognize that the more channels there are for customers to find parts, the better it is for everybody. And yeah, sorry, moving on to the last one from me. Something we've already covered here and we all know about, the public greatly support this, but just wanted to share from my own lived experience that a significant portion of the reviews we get from customers specifically reference and acknowledge that their appliance was likely destined for the landfill without our help. That's me. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Andy. And last but not least, we have Tom.
I'll just take myself off mute so you can hear me, everybody. Kia ora, good morning. It's super interesting to listen to everyone. Quick intro for myself. I'm the Managing Director of Lamasoko here in Aotearoa. We build espresso machines. We're a manufacturer, but we're not just sort of fixing machines. We repair and we refurbish and we renew. And we think that's good for business, it's good for people, and it's great for the planet. So built to last, supported for life. What does it mean? Well, it's not just a brand line, you know, it's fundamentally a business model for us. You know, we've always believed that durability is the ultimate form of sustainability, and that was touched on earlier. You know, our machines are built to last, and our commitment is to support them and our customers for life. You know, it's not just about selling more things at any cost. It's about doing the right things for the right reasons, in our opinion. We click through, please. So in saying that, you know, what does that mean for us? Well, since 1927, we're an old company, and New Zealand was the second market globally that Lamasoko sold to. We've been here for a long time. We've embedded repairability into our design philosophy, and that's been really key to making machines of a certain quality that can be repaired, reused, or, if needed, recycled. And on top of that, yes, we have newer products than we made back in 1927 with new technologies. But in recent years, we've really adapted our design philosophy to be able to retrofit new technology back into our existing fleet of equipment that we've sold across the country, which gives, you know, our customers and their customers the opportunity to upgrade without investing in a whole new piece of equipment. Beyond that, the product side, we invest quite heavily in training, and in our initial team, yes, we're very competent. We have training from our head office, but we're part of a global network and we're very connected in that sense. And one of our key things that we do is that we train technicians and coffee roasters or service partners nationwide. And we do that to just really let our knowledge flow rather than hold it back. It's a key to supporting products in market, but it really sort of underpins that repair really, it's not an afterthought, it's just sort of part of our DNA. We want to fix the things we make and let others do that too, and not sort of hold it back. Can we jump to the next slide, please? And so a few years ago, so in 2018, I'd been lamenting that we have been very successful in market, and we sold probably the highest per capita in the world number of Lamasocco machines into a single market, which speaks to how much we love our coffee. But what that meant was there's only so many machines you can sell. It's like, how many cars do we need if we've got cars already? But we acknowledged that represented a fundamental business opportunity. And so we developed a refurbishment program. This refurbishment program internally within our business was to really demonstrate what a quality repair offering could look like. And so all machines, be it a home machine or a commercial machine or maybe a coffee grinder, would be stripped down, tested, rebuilt, and then re-put back into the market with a new warranty. And the results of these sort of repaired and refurbished offerings is that they're in essence the same quality that you would expect from a new machine. And our factory will certify those and sign them off. And we extend those same warranty provisions as a new machine. And our customers trust it because they see no real compromise in the quality that we're offering. And that's been key to our success. Can we jump to the next slide, please? So just to sort of speak a bit more to this, we see this as a real premium, sustainable alternative to buying new equipment. And, that's our hot take on it. But the impact that we've had really speaks for itself. The demand for a repaired or refurbished machine means that we have a wait time of about 6 to 8 months. We've wanted to embed a circularity in our business. New Zealand as a country is a country of tinkerers, repairers with great ideas and innovation. And I see that as the opportunity we have in New Zealand at Lamasocco as part of a much larger global group to influence our wider global operations. And I'm pleased to say that we are doing that and we're having a powerful impact. Our customers see what we're doing as a very sustainable premium choice, and it's strengthened our loyalty to them. Many of our customers are embracing B Corp certification, and working with like minds and doing the right things for the right reasons makes sense. And that fosters, increased loyalty to working with a manufacturer, I guess, with a conscience and intention behind what they're doing. But within our business, it's been deeply rewarding for our team. The opportunity to have impact, make a difference, and lovingly restore beautiful old machines and see them go out and help people make great cups of coffee for everybody is, they know they're contributing to a more sustainable future, and we all need to be conscious of that. So that's the sort of repair first economy approach we're proud of building here at Lamasocco. Yeah, that's all for me. Thank you.
Great, thanks. I think Brigitte is going to try and facilitate some Q&A. So feel free to, if you have any questions, pop them into the Q&A.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. Awesome presentations and so inspiring. I mean, I'm just really happy that we're here together today. And I was wondering, looking at the 5 PO of the Repair Network Aotearoa, you are representatives of different POs. And I just wonder, what do you see? Where do you see the connection between the PO coming from your specific perspective and how this could work towards, the repair movement here in Aotearoa? Yeah. So do we have somebody who would love to start? I think Marama is nodding her head. Would you like to kick us off?
I was nodding in appreciation of your kōrero, Brigitte, but I'm happy because as a politician, governments have powers to have impact on an economy. And if we're talking about a repair economy, I cannot go past the presentation that Tom just gave, because while Tom was speaking, I pulled up a quote from another business owner who said there are thousands of businesses in New Zealand who are trying their darndest to use business to solve our interconnected social, environmental, and economic crises, sometimes at great cost to their own prime profit, time, and resources. But as Tom just talked about, actually the rewards and the values add an extra contribution to the business itself as well. And government has a responsibility actually to solve those very interconnected issues of social, environmental, and economic crises. We have tools, we have resource, we can get in, and both Paul and Alex also were talking about other countries, they're already rapping ahead. I would love, for example, the thought of a repairability index. I'm like, yeah, let's get companies and organizations going, I've got a better repairability index than you do. And that really excites me. You cannot do that without some of the government responsibilities and tools that are required. And that's where politicians, members of parliament, we are supposed to be representative of our communities. This is something that our communities want. That is the role that politicians have to play, is to be able to impact and intervene in the market where the market alone is not solving those huge interconnected issues.
Kia ora, Marama. That's fantastic. Yeah. As you mentioned, Tom, I wonder if you would like to comment as well, Tom?
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, I mean, it's not a barrier. We can do this. And I think, New Zealand's small enough and agile enough to lead, and, just applaud the work the Green Party and Marama has been doing to kind of push this through. It's an example of the right thing for the right reasons. It's not hurt our sales of new products, but it's added a new business model, a new revenue stream that's complementary, it's adjacent, it's relevant. We all need to make the best decisions we can in life. And when it comes to buying products and choices, I love the idea of the index, but, we need to buy once, buy right. And that's, with longevity in mind, and longevity of the things, but then their afterlife, and what happens next. It's been great for us. I think it's realistic to think that other manufacturers can embrace this, and they might sit and go, that's just not what we do, and not have the sort of mental flexibility to embrace it right now. But that's the point. This change sort of won't happen overnight. It's about sort of setting expectations that even the most sort of traditional and slow-moving industries can adapt. And I'd like to think for a near 100-year-old business from Florence in Italy that we can demonstrate that we can do it. Others could too.
Brilliant. Thank you. It's so inspiring. And as you both say, this also relates to many, many businesses here in Aotearoa. It's nothing new, really, and we are already doing it. Exactly. So I wonder if maybe Andy would like to comment as well.
Sure thing. Yeah, I guess as a retailer of spare parts and an organization who attempts to, unite seekers of parts with the correct part for them, we can only do so much here, right? We can only sell the parts that the manufacturers make available. But just want to echo what Tom said. There are a lot of manufacturers who have solved this already, of the brands that I put up on screen. I won't, but I could tell you which of those do really well at this and which ones don't. There's definitely a broad spectrum of organizations who make parts readily accessible and make information about parts readily accessible. So I just, my biggest feeling, reading some of the debate and opposition to this bill, I just really can't believe some of these comments that this is impossible to implement, and it will cost manufacturers so much more, and they will, exit the New Zealand market if they have to do this. We can see already that this is simply not the case. It just needs to be, the standard just needs to be lifted a bit. There are plenty of examples of organizations who do this well already.
Indeed. Yeah, very, very encouraging. And how about Alex? Would you like to comment in some way, please?
I just want to pick up what Andy was saying, that it's not impossible at all. You've got big companies that are doing it, and they do it in the rest of the world. So it's almost like, it's sort of, I'm and other people a bit frustrated, because whatever you say, there's somebody saying the reverse and not backing it up either. There's no sort of, I sort of, what research is going on for this. And there are sort of, I've read almost every article, and there is some research which is actually, how do I say, not more than misrepresenting things. And I just would like, if people are going to make policy decisions and politicians, to actually do some proper research and look to see what's going on and read what is going on. That's because for every, as I've said, everything people say they can't do, it is being done somewhere else. And also, it's also getting back to what we used to do. So in New Zealand, everything was repaired, because it was either it was made in New Zealand most of the time, so it was easily repairable, or if it was imported, it would be very, very expensive. And even if something wasn't repaired for the same functionality, it was repurposed. So, I mean, some people on this call may remember the old Fisher and Paykel washing machines. Those motors were brilliant, and they were used on all sorts of things. So it doesn't have to be, necessarily a repair, but it could be that repurposed one. It's sort of, and it is going on. It's sort of highlighting what is going on. That's why this webinar is brilliant, because we've got two excellent examples of this happening in practice. So the more examples that we can have of showing people, the better it is for everybody, I think.
I could just add one quick thing. It would be that, the number of submissions that are in favour are so overwhelming that it's one thing. But what we see coming through in our business that reflects that is that essentially consumer choice is being driven by the lasting value of what they're buying. And they want to know that we have the ability to support them nationwide, and that it's a long-term decision that's the right thing for them. And, I think at times it's the true value of the object that you're buying, but there are lots of different price points at which you could buy, say, an espresso machine, but everyone should have the expectation that they can repair it. Yesterday, I had a gentleman I spoke to, and he had two machines that regrettably had gone to landfill, and now he's just sort of coming in and investing in a machine that will be, I would say, with his family forever. It's and I think that's the kind of thinking we need, but it's the younger customer set in particular that deeply care about these issues. And there's the right now in this moment, the work that we're doing together, but then there's the forever and the lag time of the consequence of the decisions we make today, whether that's supporting a bill like this or buying a product. And I think the government should be doing better. This is just a no-brainer, in my opinion.
Can I jump in off that? Thank you, Tom, because I want to pick up again. There is something intrinsic when people take what would otherwise be even a perfectly good microwave or a perfectly good coffee machine, and they can see there's something that we abhor, I think, just as human, ordinary people, when we're sort of like, why should this go to the landfill? There's a little piece wrong, or there's a little bit over there. And there is something that really drives at us as human beings when the thought of putting something that would otherwise be perfectly fine, a vacuum cleaner, into landfill, there is something on that level that I think is holding the mandate for us. And that's the sort of work that we can continue to really draw on. And we can find that in all generations. We can certainly find that in our older generations who have that memory of, what is it? One of you have come through with that story about the generational food processor that has lasted decades and decades and decades. And so they have that living memory of when we used to do better. We absolutely did. But as you say, Tom, for the younger generations, it's also how interconnected this is to the world that they are going to have to live in. The decisions that we are making today is impacting on their future. So I'm really feeling positive is really my main message about where we can go from here because of the collective work that we've all been doing together.
Oh, kia ora, Marama, and thank you, Tom, as well, and Alex. Yeah, I agree with you. Like when we look at the 5 po, they're all interlinking. Like how we like to draw the metaphor is like the 5 fingers of a hand, and they're all connected and they can all play with each other and relate to each other, which means that, yes, there are businesses and community and councils and legislation working all together for the same goal. And I also like to mention that with the Right to Repair Coalition, we actually conducted a survey of 1,500 people through a agency, and the outcome is that 95% of people here in Aotearoa pledge for the right to repair and want things to be repaired. I mean, it's just really, it's it just shows, that this is where people's minds are changing. They're no longer trapped in consumerism. They're actually reflecting, the impact on the planet and on themselves and the future. And I would really like to invite Paul as well to comment on this, because you do fantastic work in this area too.
Thanks, Brigitte. No, I would just say, I mean, change doesn't happen because one person wants the change to happen. Change happens because it's a collective desire, and that's what we're starting to see. I think we're starting to see community want change. We're starting to see businesses make that change and set up and show that it works. And now we're starting to see that that legislation is sort of responding to that. But I would just reiterate that we're at an early stage of this, and we're at an advantage in a way because we're not the first movers. We're not the first ones to talk about this. We're not the first ones to implement right to repair legislation. So we're in a position where we should be able to pick and choose the best of what's available. And there's evidence overseas, as a lot of submissions to the bill showed, that it works. And a lot of the unintended consequences that a lot of the opposing submissions or the opponents come out with and say, oh, but this will happen and this will happen. We can point to legislation overseas and say, but it doesn't. So I think we've got to keep strong on the journey that we're getting there. It's just not going to happen overnight. And whether this legislation goes through or not, it's the start of something that will happen. So yeah, optimistic here.
Thank you, Paul. Yeah, that's wonderful. Yeah, likewise. Because I mean, I can't see any questions in the Q&A. So because I was also thinking, we've now been together on this journey with the Consumer Guarantees Right to Repair Amendment Bill, for about 1.5 to 2 years. And it's really nice to reflect on this also, the impact it had, on the general public, on politicians, the MP discussions, on the backbenchers and so forth. And then, of course, we went through select committee. And it really gathered momentum. And I think it would be lovely, maybe for Marama to share for you, by you to some of your impressions and of this journey.
Thank you, Brigitte. What I am going to do is, for the people who are online, Louise came through online with some fantastic questions about the amendments that I was referring to, and I have dropped in a link where you can find all of our written amendments. And I also, separate to that, I dropped in a summary of the amendments to my original bill, which included things like, I'll just very quickly run through the main amendments to the bill. which include things like a clearer definition of a spare part, reasonable fees for on-charging by repairers, limiting right to repair, so sort of limiting and having product specification that is electronic goods above $100, exclusion of secondhand goods for obvious reasons. I did want to make sure, I actually had to ask the advisors, the parliamentary advisors, because I wanted to make sure that wheelchairs, mobility scooters, or other mobility devices could still be included, given that we're excluding ships. And I was affirmed that we wanted to make sure we include those, that single-use goods are excluded, and as I mentioned before, exclusion of goods worth less than $100. So the actual amendments are listed separately in the link that I put online. But Brigitte, further to your point, I will share that at Select Committee, I could see, and to your points, well, all of you, but particularly Tom, Andy, and Paul, where you were talking about the right thing to do. Look, take it from me, at the Select Committee, all across all members, so including government members, I can see that they want this to get across. I can see that they are hearing from their community people, that the people who are lobbying and having discussions with them has a real impact. I can see that they also can see that this is pretty sensible. This is really, it's really just some common sense. So Brigitte, when you talked about my experience, that's an experience that I'm sharing to fuel the hope and the journey that Paul is referring to. We are right there, people. I know that the bill in and of itself is only one small part of the bigger transition to having responsibility and product stewardship, even though I do feel that actually a lot of business is well ahead of government right now. But what this seemingly small bill has done is really put that awareness across the community in a way that not having the bill wouldn't have been able to do. So there is a mandate there, but there is also, I think, genuine understanding of this being the right and common sense good thing to do, also from government members of Parliament. Thank you.
Kia ora, ka pai. This is exciting because this is our analysis as well. You know, it really gained momentum, raised awareness of the issue, and also just really motivated people, right, to do the right thing. You know, and see the possibilities, and also collaboration. You know, so all these positive things, you know, moving forward together despite government, right? Just, create the culture, and when government is ready, you know, then we can actually provide the evidence this is working already, right? You know, and deserves support. Yeah, we've got a few minutes left, and I just wondered if there's anything that anyone would like to contribute from our speakers. I still can't see any questions, so I don't know if that has been disabled for me, but yeah. Is there anyone who would like to, just share something or some learning from this conversation?
I always have lots to say. But one thing I would jump in with that we've recognised is that we need people to do essentially the mahi and do the repairing. And that in itself represents a phenomenal opportunity. It's highly specialised in espresso machines in some of the areas, but in others, you know, the practical skills can help repair a wide range of products, but we have sort of acknowledged that nationwide that it creates employment for coffee machine technicians, and that's great. They do other things as well, but it's creating work, which is a really positive thing, as an offshoot of this work.
Awesome. I also just wanted to mention, you know, what it also, repair also does is creates connection, you know, between people and also the items that you're working with, you know, so it's restoring the mana, you know, of each item, you know, so, and learn about the whakapapa of it. So I think all of this really contributes, you know, to the value of repair, that it actually contributes to life and society. Yeah, so that's something that we see at repair cafes, for example, you know, so, but also, you know, at businesses as well. So, yeah. Anyone else? We've got a few more minutes if you like. And then I'll hand over to Fiona.
You're on mute there, Brigitte.
Oh, sorry. I was hoping that you could unmute Alex, because I think she would like to give a little contribution. No, you don't. Oh, okay, sorry. My mistake. Anyone else? Raise your hand if you want to say a last word of this amazing conversation. Okay, so that's cool. So this is, coming to an end, our incredible conversation. I'm so grateful to all of you presenting, and it's so inspiring. It's a passion, and it's a technique, it's a knowledge, it's a coming together, in doing the right thing, as you say, looking after people and planet, and we can do it. And there's so much support, and we also like to thank our audience, all the lovely people who stayed with us during this time early in the morning. And I just like to remind you also that we have the Repair Festival going on. So please go to the web page. Maybe Fiona can put that into the link, into the chat, and let people know. So it's Repair Festival Aotearoa 2025. And also I like to have a early announcement. It's International Repair Day. It's on 18th of October, where the whole world celebrates repair, and we will have another webinar, as well as many other in-person events happening as well. So thank you, everyone. Big round of applause to everyone. This was so delightful, just to have you all here this morning. Kia ora, making time for us. And please, Fiona, can you close us off with a karakia whakamutunga? Kia ora.
Kia ora. Thanks so much, Brigitte, and thanks once again to all of our speakers. It was really, really interesting. Thanks to those who are attending. Just a reminder that we have a number of publicly available webinars on the Wasteman's website that you can check out on a number of topics, including other great businesses who are doing things not just in repair, but also in product stewardship and driving down waste to landfill. So just to close things off with the karakia. Ke whakairia te tapu, ke wai e te ara te ara. Ke turiki whakataha ai, ku turiki whakataha ai. Homie, huie, tae kie.
Tae kie. Kia ora.
Kia ora.
Thank you.